It's time for Pay-Per-View, a look at our national dailies and an in-depth analysis of some of the headlines making the rounds. Today, Pay-Per-View.
And now for Pay-Per-View with Azubike Osumli, Dieko Gilbert, and Kafayat Bakari.
Still listening to Inspiration 92.3 FM, your number one family radio. We are live. It is time for Pay-Per-View, where we look at stories that made it to the front page of the dailies. We are live on Facebook at Inspiration 92.3 FM. We are also live on Instagram at Official Kafayat, and you can listen to us wherever you are via the website at www.ifm923.com. Zainab Balogun is in the studio today. How are you doing?
Yeah. I'm fine, thank you.
It's good to have you join us this Friday morning.
Yeah. How are you doing?
We're fine.
Yeah.
Ms. Azu.
Hello.
How are you? You have a big smile on your face.
No, I'm just trying to liken what's happening
Yes.
with the Chelsea Football Club, our darling football club.
Yeah.
We have a major injury problem. The first team is almost out. About 6 to 7 major injuries in N'Golo Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho.
Oh, dear.
Just mention them. It's the same thing that's happening. From now. The first team is almost out. Kolade is out. Kafayat is just managing to stand. Dieko, I've taken him out this morning. You know, he's injured, so we're taking him to hospital. You know, so we have our reserve members, senior players like the beautiful Zainab, back on the team this morning. But it's okay. You know, when the first 11 is not balanced, we'll bring a second 11.
Yes.
We have a huge, big 22.
Yes.
You know, so it's good to see you, Zainab.
Yeah.
Beautiful house. Let me tell you what's happening with the federal government. The federal government has written a memo to civil servants to tell them that December salary is not sure. So your November salary, manage it for Christmas. An official memo. I saw it on social media. You know, one of the government departments, warning them that the way things are, the economy, the way things are, December salary is not sure for now. So that November salary you collected, use it and manage it for Christmas. We're just warning you ahead. We're not saying salary will not come, but we're just trying to warn you ahead. Civil servants in this country. So the federal government member, an FG member, one of authored by in the Ministry of Finance, signed by a top officer, a top secretary in the ministry, warning civil. It was a memo distributed across the civil service that the December salary is not sure as at when due. You know, as I went due, you know, so they should, that December, November salary just collected, try and portion some for Christmas. You know, it's the one thing that has come from government.
So they probably
What if they are done spending it?
Don't want you ahead now. November salary is finished already. just to know, you know.
Wow.
We have seen this kind of thing before in this country.
Yeah.
You know, we have seen it happen before. It was called SAP, Structural Adjustment Program.
Oh dear.
The federal government, just to let you know, Zainab.
So till the end of January before they see anything, most likely.
Yeah, but they didn't tell them when, if they'll get it or not, but just to warn them that the revenue, there's no money now, so we are not sure about, you know, so usually civil servants, today is 10th, right?
Yeah.
10th December, by now, don't they receive? So of them don't they collect by now already, you know, normally in the December like this, you know. But the warning is out that the government is not sure that December salary will come as I went you. So manage November, you know, that kind of warning can break the heart. But when it comes in the memo, believe it.
Yes. Over to you, Zainab.
All right, let's start with the Punch this morning. The major story here: federal government begins giving booster shots. US donates 2.5 million doses. We have two riders here. Federal government records 1,072 COVID-19 cases in 10 days. Travel ban evidence-based, UK insists. You can talk of booster jabs when some people haven't received any, says AU Center. You find the story on page 2. So yes, I mean the booster shots is starting today. Yeah. If
you have taken your first or second jabs, and if you have done that in the last 6 months, because except it's J&J, you took Johnson & Johnson, then it's after 2 months you can take a booster jab. This is what the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency boss, Dr. Faisal Ushuaib, was telling Nigerians. So from today, Friday, if you have taken 2 jabs and it's been long enough, you can go for a booster jab. It prevents, it helps you better, it protects you more from these several variants of COVID in circulation. But the head of the African Union Center for Disease Control is saying that the booster jab is a luxury in Africa, because we're talking about less than the entire continent, less than 7% of people in the entire continent vaccinated with either the first or the second jabs, and you're talking third jabs. It's a luxury the continent cannot even afford, because the way it is today, Africa is looking for vaccines. You know, the COVAX arrangement, the AU arrangement to mop up vaccines is suffering because, again, of vaccine nationalism. You know, most of the countries of the world who can dash out these vaccines, or even if you want to buy, want to protect it first. They want to be able to finish giving their. In Israel now, they have approved the fourth jab. So you can imagine, no free vaccine can come from Israel, because the citizens again are lining up to take a fourth jab. In the US, they are talking about a booster jab is a normal thing, and even in the UK. So you can see that these countries, the big countries of this world, are protecting their public health, and so vaccines don't come home. And eventually, if they even send you these vaccines, they send you the ones that will expire next week. You know, Osaje Handle, Nigeria's health minister, was explaining 2 days ago why the government has to destroy 1 million doses of vaccines. You know, because they came very late. Before you even get them into the country, the logistics of trying to distribute them to the primary health centers, their shelf life is gone. You know, so you say now that going forward, Nigeria will politely decline any donation of vaccines that have neared its expiry date. But that's what comes. You know, most of them already come when they're already done. 2 months, you know, before they expire, they'll send them to you. Before you even clear them from the ports, or even bring them via airports, you know, you have to cool them. All that 1 month is gone. And nobody likes to take a vaccine that's about to expire.
I think the one I took was about to expire.
Yeah, even the ones we took, because they put it there, expired. Exactly. It's just a short time away. You know, I don't know. This is what's happening in the world today. You know, so people are trying to cope with it. There's a vaccine nationalism going around, and this is what the WHO is shouting. You know, that the problems of even this COVID is not more about the variants, even the Omicron. It's about vaccine equity. That people who need vaccines get them to protect themselves from COVID. Once we can solve that problem, we'll have headway in solving the COVID problem. The WHO keeps crying, but the world is not listening, especially the superpowers, United States, United Kingdom, and the big countries in Europe. Yeah.
All right, still on the punch. Obasanjo, faithless suitor on blinking political philanderer, says Akonde. You'll find the story on page 9.
Massive words there. Chief Visi Akonde's book launch yesterday. I think they also used the occasion to attack Obasanjo. And it wasn't just Visi Akonde, it was President Buhari as well, and the former Lagos Governor Bola Tinubu. It was gathering of their legs, the progressives they like to call themselves, and they have brought President Buhari to attend. Bola Tinubu, Visi Akonde called the book My Participations, his autobiography, his life story. And he talked, I haven't seen the book yet, but I've tried to read excerpts today from the Punch. And he was talking essentially about his political life. He spoke about General Obasanjo, the much he knew of him from the very early 1970s, Obasanjo's relationship with Bola Ige. In fact, he talked about Bola Ige a lot in the book. He talked about Bola Ige as their leader, and when Bola Ige was murdered, was assassinated, for them it was like a sheep without a shepherd. Most of them progressives in the southwest especially. And then he described what he knew about Obasanjo's relationship with Bola Ige, and that's why I think he made that comment. You know, say the comment again.
Obasanjo, faithless suitor on blinking political philanderer.
Yeah, they just reserved the worst words for our former head of state. You know, and then when President Buhari also came to speak, he said the same thing. He talked about the brilliance and integrity of the man Visi Akonde. They never took a bribe, never gave one. You know, and then he also said that Bola Ige did not get a second time as governor of Osun State in 2003 because President Obasanjo was a victim of President Obasanjo's diabolical political double cross. You know, this was President Buhari yesterday. You know, so Obasanjo really suffered in their hand yesterday. I hope he watched and he have a reply. Why don't be letter? You know, and then Bola Tinubu also has his day, and you know, it was a good event for the elder statesman, Visi Akonde, 85 years old. He has written his memoirs now. I think it will be a good read for students of political history in this country to know his sojourns. You know, he talked again about how Bola Tinubu was the lone survivor. of the 1999 Southwest governors. Remember, they were all AD at the time. But in 2003, only Bola Tinubu returned. The other 5 in the Southwest, Obasanjo ensured that AD did not reign again. It was PDP across the board. He put that element in his book as well. So I think it will be a good read. I'll find time to also assess the book and read the very good autobiography of a man like Bisi Akande, because he's a giant. You know, he's been governor. He's started. He was first chairman of the APC. There'll be a lot he will say. If he really wants to say about his political experience.
Even Buhari described him as the only person who wants to go to the jungle with. Yeah.
That was political comment. Interesting. Will you follow him to Abuja Kaduna Highway? That's the real jungle.
All right, still on the Punch. Capital inflow drops by 29% as COVID-19 cases rise, says CBN. You find the story on page 29 of the Punch. Reps hope to pass 2022 appropriation bill on Wednesday. The story is on page 33. BP names management team for Disco taking over by UBA. You find the story on page 29.
Yeah. So we talked about that story in the newspapers this week. When after the darkness in Abuja and some parts of the North Central over the last weekend, and we said that they have sacked the management of the Abuja Electricity Development, the distribution company, Abuja Disco. We thought it was maybe a security breach, by taking out power in the FCT that have led the government to wedge the big hammer against the AEDC. But explanations have come forth. The BPE, Bureau of Public Enterprise, I think, is midwifing this one, and they have said that it's simply a matter of the core investor in the Abuja Disco failing to meet its obligation to a lender, UBA, I think to the tune of 20 billion, that the bank had, financed the entire business of the investor, the core investor in this Abuja Disco. They can't pay. So after legal processes, the bank has taken over, and the bank, working with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, and the BPE, have announced a new interim management. Remember, the discos are owned 40% by the government. The government have between 40% interest in these discos and 60% to investors. So this investor borrowed money to run the lifeline of the business, can't pay back. The bank had gone to court and have secured what it needed. The legal process to take over. So they have taken over. The first thing to do is to bring in the new management. And according to the BPE, this was part of the problems why even workers went on strike and shut down power in Abuja and 5 other states, because of issues around this investor failing to meet his core responsibilities, including responsibilities to workers. So I think now that the bank has taken over and have announced the new management, they'll begin to solve their problems. Let there be light.
All right, still on the Punch. Ohaneze plans lobby team for Southeast 2023 presidency bid. You find the story on page 25. Ogun wanted serial killer arrested, meeting hoodlums, others flee. You find the story on page 4. Light rail, Ogun Assembly tackles Lagos over planned demolition of 1,000 buildings. You find the story on page 30. Over to you, Kafayat. I think she takes a message.
Who destroys 1,000 buildings?
All right, you can post your messages on Facebook Live at Inspiration 92.3 FM, and you can also send it to the WhatsApp number 0817 313 6193 0817 313 6193. We'll start with Facebook here, and this says belated happy birthday to Inspiration FM. Thank you very much, Benson. Fatima Lola here says good morning. Now this Baba Akande has really lost focus. So if Obasanjo is still supporting the recklessness of the Buhari role, I'm sure that he wouldn't have used these disparaging words against OBJ. If I was a Yoruba who respects elders, I would have said something else. Next one here is Mike that said this current government is very selfish. I'm still pondering about the advice sent to the public yesterday. This is a festive season, for God's sake. Next one here says good morning. Bisi Akande lacks the moral standing to critique Obasanjo because he remained silent all this while as killings daily spiral nationwide. So as not to hurt the feelings of the big people in the government, they should be telling the president that Nigerians can no longer afford the major staples, talking about gas, PMS, kerosene and charcoal under his watch. because he wants to sell books doesn't mean that he should twist the issues. Him and his party have turned their citizens into endangered. Wow. All right, Chiki from Akute. Moving on. Next one here is George Benjamin from Lekki that says, it grieves me when I see the mess of kidnapping and banditries in this country. Now, if the Nigerian government is not keen in naming and prosecuting the offenders, now the issue will further get worsened. It's time for truth to be unveiled. Nigeria is at the verge of collapse. Next one says, good morning. Since it is difficult for Nigeria to come up with locally produced COVID-19 vaccine, why can't we encourage the continuous consumption of herbs? We're talking about agbo. Our forefathers had medical solutions before the white man came, and that is in Mecca Mbago. Sam from Satellite Town here says the problem is that the government is giving warning and advice after the November pay has been exhausted already, because the cost of food item does not allow the salary to even last 2 weeks. When I saw that of the police that November and December may not be paid, can you stop stealing in the civil service and police harassment with this type of release from the official quarters? Next one here says, good morning, Oduayo from Matogo. Now, it's time Africans to start looking inward about the vaccine issue. But unfortunately, some people will still not believe.
Somebody called our show yesterday evening and said that this is all part of the 2023 plot. I told him that I beg to disagree. I mean, but Bisi Akonde is 85 years old, former governor, and I last it. I was reading the book. It's autobiography, his own story. I think what should say as we go there, go and see what happened there. You know, again, these kind of events are usually turned to political parades. You know, and some people who have political interest use the opportunity to always advance their political ambition, especially because elections are near, and then you have President Buhari in town as well. So you probably. I think that's what probably happened, but I'm sure we should not lose focus of the fact that this was the book launch for an elder statesman.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next one here is a Wolabi that says Bisi Akonde tagging Obasanjo as their problem who prevented them from re-election in Southwest was a joke carried too far. I respect Akonde as a prudent politician, but he made some political somersaults. An example is sacking non-science teachers from secondary school in Oshu, then and thereafter threatening citizens that whether they voted or not, he would win. E20 from Lekki says, I was an advocate for the vaccine from inception, but now I know you cannot take full vaccine. It's an immune booster. Africa should think inwards and ensure that we take immune boosters. The nationalism in vaccine has started among the big countries. Africa needs to be innovative and save her people. Obasanjo was made president because of agitation of the Southwest. Did he lobby the country? Why do we want Southeast to lobby now? And Roberto Saltega says, for me, the memo from the federal government to federal civil servants is not only heartbreaking but highly insensitive. Why December of all months? Why? Is it the same tiny November salary that is not even enough for the November workers that it should bank on? Federal government should try to the share small. Congratulations to Pa Bisi Akonde, help us, O Lord, and that is Honorable Sosa Ortega. Orlando Edit from Ikeja here says, good morning. I trust Mr. Obasanjo, President Buhari and his people should be expecting a reprisal long letter attack from Obasanjo. Good morning to you all. Bisi Akonde is one politician with unblemished integrity, and he has been in politics since 1960. I'm sure he knows Obasanjo pretty well, and that is Demola from Lekki. Next one is James Ogbonna from Oshodi that says, Uncle Azu, when did Nigeria commence COVID-19 vaccination that Dr. Shuaibu is talking about a booster jab? Is it not up to 6 months? I took the second jab of AstraZeneca last month, but I don't think it is up to 6 months that the first person in the country took his jab. Until Uncle Azu, how about other government officials like the governor, the minister, commissioners, lawmakers, judges, and the government are they affected by these memo, or is it just a common civil servant? Please reply my chat, Uncle Azu, on Facebook. Next one says, good morning.
Let me remind James Ogbonna about how when Nigeria started this COVID vaccination business. It was in March last year that Nigeria received its first dose of AstraZeneca.
Yes.
That came in March. And then there was now a suspension of vaccines because of logistics issues. You know, so in August we now received the Moderna 4 million doses, and then there was another AstraZeneca that came in, and the Nigerian government paid for Johnson's and Johnson's. So this was August, and then we now got at least, I think, later on it began to come. So if you're counting 6 months, I think it's people that took in March, you know, that would have by now qualified for a booster jab. The people who took from August.
Yes.
I don't think they've done 6 months. August was not 6 months away, right?
No, it wasn't.
So those ones have to wait till maybe earlier next year.
Yeah.
But for people who took Johnson and Johnson, just in 2 months to be able to take a booster jab. So this is the difference. Moderna, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, you have to wait 6 months after your first 2 jabs before you take the booster jab. But for J&J, 2 months.
2 months. All right. Next one here on Facebook says, "Good morning, everyone in the studio." This is from, I'll take this. This is from Abu Otene. And Abu Otene here says, "We must be mindful of what we do today, as tomorrow will judge our actions." But Akade's book launch was an opportunity to read about Obasanjo's report card. Nigeria will defeat our present challenges if only, we stop being complainants, but active participants in the walk towards national growth. Kenneth says, because the light out affected them, politicians, they swiftly took into action, but the masses had gone through this years now. Nothing had been done. When it affects them, action will be swiftly taken.
I think that's not true. We now know what happened with the Abuja Disco. The core investor had failed in its remittances for the loan it collected to finance the business, and it's been causing problems. So the BPE has acted, as the protector, custodian of this business, have acted and removed the management. Why they went on strike and put out the lights is a different matter. It's a matter of internal issues within the Abuja Disco itself. So it's not because, again, let's explain it. It wasn't because they took power in Abuja that they sacked the management of the Abuja Disco.
Yes.
No. It's because the old investors carried their responsibility out. So the government has set up an interim management to carry the company forward.
Okay, next one here is Osang Ojida says, "The November salary that the federal government is talking about have not been received by the workers even till now." I'll take like 3 more messages if I hand over to Zainab. This one here is Oda Ugochukwu Nadi that says that we should have accepted the vaccine that has a few weeks to expiry dates and start dispensing them from the point of reception, like the airports and the seaport, and reject them when we have dire need for them. Now the government has disowned the memo on salary delay. God help Nigeria. All right, he said this is disowned it.
I haven't seen that yet. What I saw was the memo and signed by an official of the Ministry of Finance.
Next one here is
these things are not to deny. Once that's gone out, you can simply just deny it.
Mr. Wale from Visa State said, "I would suggest a roundtable talk between Abuja Disco and a particular bank loan so that the citizens don't suffer the more. God bless Nigeria." Next one says, "This is on Sylvester's death. Afeni Ferry should stop playing politics with everything. Are they saying that before 2015 youths were obedient, but immediately when this current government came to be, youth started misbehaving in school everywhere? What about the parents' role in giving their child a good home training? Don't they know that whatever the parent does in front of the children, like mother slapping the housemaid, is part of bullying, father shouting on the driver is also part of bullying in front of the children, and blowing siren on the road when security men clear the road for you in front of your children is also part of bullying? So bullying has always been part of our lives in Nigeria. So if we want to stop bullying in our school, then we need to take a second look at our society." And that is Idowu Jamil. One more message and I'll hand over to you, Zainab. Next one says, Ogazo says, "So to me, so not me, Ogazo, I hope that info from the federal government is not to create hypertension. They should have said so immediately. The moment the last salary was paid. How many of the civil servants still have a dime left from the last salary? Anyway, all right, 15 months to go. God save our economy. As for the vaccine, the Western world will continue to send their second hand to us in Africa until we take the bull by the horn and produce our own local remedies." I don't know how many megabytes that has to be, that has the so-called booster jab. We don't want to hear that those who took it are affected. Over to you, Zainab.
All right, moving on to the nation now. The major story here, Buhari, how Akonde, Oshoba, others lost in 2003. We've talked about this. You find the story on page 4. Above the masthead, Omicron, Sanwo-Olu steps down peace walk. You find the story on page 2. Do you think that he shelved this peace walk because of Omicron or some other reasons?
There's Omicron in town, Omicron to the rescue, though. Can rescue you. If you make, the peace walk was unpopular already, in spite of the best saying of the government that the governor has secured the support of a large base of young people. and even civil society, 600 groups that they work with him, all that, can be on paper. The reality is that the work was already unpopular because it has become controversial. And the people the governor mentioned, without consulting them, have all declined to take part in the work. So it was already riddled already. And then Omicron to the rescue. Yeah. Of course, I don't think the governor would have gone ahead with the work with what we have, especially the day before he had also reeled out the new COVID restrictions for Lagos. You can't possibly, gather people on the peace walk, on a symbolic peace walk like that in this period. So a wise move to call it off and to save the day for him. So,
All right, moving on to The Guardian now. Wike asks federal government to show evidence of money borrowed from creditors. You'll find this story on page 29 of The Guardian. The major story here: save us from killers, bandits, Sultan, Khan, GNI tell Buhari. They have many riders here.
The riders are what interests me, Zainab. Read the rider.
Okay. Nigerians are being killed like chickens. Bandits murdered 80 people in a single night, Sokoto leaders write Buhari. Gunmen kill Katsina commissioner in residence. Bandits gunned down 15 worshippers inside mosque in Niger. Imposed 10 million naira fine on Zamfara communities. Troops rescue 20 abducted policemen in Yobe. Amnesty: Buhari's orders to security agencies have changed nothing. Federal government: insecurity responsible for Nigeria's fall from preferred investment destination. You find the story on page 8 of The Guardian.
Let's start from the last one. The other information said investors know what they want. In spite of the insecurity, they will come and invest anyway. But that's the Minister for Trade and Investment, Adebayo, that said that part of why we are suffering for the lack of direct foreign investment is the security situation in parts of the country, most parts of the country. And I choose to believe this minister than that spokesman. We will come and invest in an area where 80 people are killed overnight. The elders of Sokoto, under the Gobil Elders Association, they wrote a letter to President Buhari and told him Sokoto is gone. Sokoto is already gone the way it is. And it's not the first time. The Sultan told us before that was shouting Zamfara and Niger and Abuja and Kaduna that every day in Sokoto, and the numbers are not 5 and 10, it's 50, 60 every day. The Sultan said so a few months ago. This is what the elders of Gobi are saying after the Sabobrin incident on Monday, where these terrorists, without a motive, set a bus full of people on fire. They are already video footage of the burial. Very good. We can't describe them on radio. But they wrote that letter to Mr. President to tell him that in one night alone in Sokoto, 80 people. Yesterday, Governor Tambuwal and his deputy and the Speaker of the Sokoto Assembly, they visited Sabo Birinin. The Sabo Birinin is where these 42 were killed in the bus. It's a area I know very well. I spent 1 year in Sokoto in my youth service. So Sabo Birinin is the road I take to the local government where I serve from Sokoto. A beautiful road without people, small communities around. To murder 42 is the reality. So yesterday, NIREC, the Nigerian Interreligious Council, held their 4th quarterly meeting. NIREC is made up of the Sultan is the co-chairman of NIREC. It has the JNI, the Jamil Nasrul Islamiyah in it, and then it has the Christian Association of Nigeria. The chairman of CAN, Professor Samson Ayokunle, is the co-chair of NIREC. And this was their discussion. Save us. Save northern Nigeria especially. Northern Nigeria is grappling with a security crisis, wave of kidnappings, terrorists killing people without motive. I think the letter by the Sokoto elders aptly describes the situation. They are saying that our state is gone. Because everywhere you look in Sokoto state, every local government, this banditry, criminal terrorists, gangs are just killing people with reckless abandon. In Zamfara, it's almost the same thing. On the daily, yes. The same single day passes without. Some of these are grossly underreported. I'm not sounding an alarm, but this is the reality. In Zamfara, the other day, some people even said that if you go to church, we'll come and kill you there. This is this kind of security that ravages that area. The Sultan addressed that yesterday. He said, no, can't happen. And the people the Christians in Zamfara should ignore that. But the Christians in Zamfara will not just ignore that. They need security.
Yes.
They need to be sure that this will not happen. Yesterday, in the president's home state in Katsina, in the capital itself, the commissioner for science and technology was killed in his home. In the GRA area of Katsina, supposed to be safe. Killed in his home. In what looked again like one of these, it doesn't look like an assassination. It's still one of these bad business of bandits, terrorists attacking, profiling, identifying, attacking people and killing them. The entire argument, the entire discussion around insecurity in northern Nigeria ends on the president's table, really. And there's no way you can cut him some slack. The other day he called a national security meeting and gave a marching order the third time this year to his generals. But this keeps happening, and the truth is that the military appears to be really overwhelmed. They are in operations everywhere in this country, and their numbers are very limited. The lamentation of the armed forces. This is supposed to be police work, but we're doing it, and we don't even have the numbers, and it continues. We don't see an immediate end to the security crisis in northern Nigeria. We don't, because tomorrow we'll report another one. If not, so in Niger State yesterday, in the mosque, 15 people were killed in the mosque in Niger State yesterday. So there's no way you look like
you will not hear of one.
A lot of them are reported, and a lot of them, nobody wants to shout about them because the stories are too gory. They leave you with a psychological problem every time we talk about this thing. I just go back to my office and put my head down there and begin to wonder what kind of country we are in.
All right, I think we should read the editorial now before we go to the last day.
Yeah, the editorial today, Zainab addresses, I'll just run through it. It's from The Guardian. Tackling terror. This is what we're talking about. Tackling terror and killings on the highways. It is a very brilliant work by The Guardian. It says there can be no contention that government's regular claim of triumph of security forces over the spate of insurgency in many parts of the north is not supported by equally regular and even more frequent deadly attacks on hapless citizens. This much can be gleaned from the recent dastardly act by marauding terrorists on the busy Abuja-Kaduna highway and the gruesome killing of 23 travelers in Sokoto State. Both incidents have been again brought to the fore the alarming spate of insecurity in northern Nigeria in particular and the country in general. The Guardian is saying here the Abuja-Kaduna highway, a critical route for that matter, linking Abuja, the FCT with Kaduna, the political headquarters of northern Nigeria, has become a nightmare for travelers plying that road. Virtually no day passes without incident of violent attack and abduction of innocent travelers. In this case of the Sokoto incident, the victims were burned to ashes in the vehicle conveying them. A deliberate act of terrorists. He went on to talk about following the panic and commotion that ensued. Travelers were forced to abandon their vehicles. The constant loss of human lives as a result of these attacks is heart-rending, particularly as they come against claims by government security agencies that the war against the insurgency is being won. Clearly, the government should be concerned of its failures to secure the lives of Nigerians. He went on to say here that if a regular security presence on the highway will put a stop to the menace of bandits and kidnappers, why then is both the federal government and the Kaduna state government not taking full control of the highway? Why should the terrorists be allowed to have the upper hand while the security forces stand on the fence? In particular, the federal government should accept its singular responsibility to safeguard lives, given that all official security paraphernalia are within the control of the government. As things stand, the road is not safe and the railway is not safe. The other day, the terrorists stalled a passenger train on the same route in the middle of nowhere. What will the people do? How will they move about for daily living? The Abuja-Kaduna highway is an important arterial road that should not be left to terrorists to take over. Here, in this paragraph, the Guardian in this editorial, skated editorial, I must say, is asking, it is again worth asking, where is President Muhammadu Buhari, the Commander-in-Chief of the country's armed forces, while terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and sundry criminals have virtually overrun the country? Nowhere is safe. What legacy is this administration leaving for posterity? Is there really hope for an end to insecurity, considering that terrorism and insurgency have lingered for over 10 years, putting Nigerians on the receiving end? Surely that is embarrassing for a government so called. And then this last paragraph of this editorial says, the challenge is on Buhari to redeem his image. What is happening under his watch is absolutely not in the interest of this administration. The country is steadily going down and the government appears helpless. The country is fast attaining the status of a pariah or a failing state. Buhari can no longer ignore the bare fact that the country's security architecture as presently constituted is no match for the current challenges. He needs to diversify security outfits and divest responsibilities to the federating units through a restructuring of the country into a true federalism. The present over-bloated structure of one central military and one police is counterproductive and will not bring positive results. Nigeria is fast losing trained manpower, needlessly so, in an insurgency that appears to be out of control. Structures like Amotekun and Bubayagu, regional security, are needed to protect the people, but they should be properly equipped for such responsibility. It is surprising that the northern state governments have not made any move towards having such security outfits, despite the magnitude of insecurity in that region. Security is a warfare issue. There should be reasonable defense in the face of a vicious warfare that is out to annihilate the people. The Guardian, tackling terror and killings on the highways, a brilliant work, really. You know, and a damning verdict on the state of the nation, especially as it concerns security, more so in northern Nigeria. I'll keep this one for the archives.
All right.
All right, the last daily here, Nigerian Tribune. Twitter ban, court dismisses suit against federal government, fines Serap 100,000 naira. You'll find the story on page 8. OAU student's death, allow Adedoyin access medical facilities, court tells IGP. You'll find the story on page 27. The major story here, political parties to bear cost of primaries, INEC tells reps. You find the story on page 3. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I think INEC has advised the key stakeholders, especially the president, on what he thinks of that inclusion, the direct primary clause in the electoral amendment. And while INEC is saying that we can supervise it, they're also saying that we can't pay for it. You know, the political party will have to pay for it. We'll just come and supervise. In fact, the cost of supervising it enough is a huge increase in an INEC's budget, because according to the plans, INEC will have to deploy at least 2 officials at every ward. You know, and there are over almost 8,000 wards in this country. If political parties have to hold their primaries across these wards, then we're talking about a major ad hoc operation for INEC. You know, that the cost of holding those primaries, INEC is saying political parties should bear it. Usually they bear it.
All right, over to you, Kafayat.
All right, send your messages to 0817-313-6193. This is Oyebola from Olusegun on Facebook. He said the story about the civil service salary is wrong. Head of service says it's fake news. Next one here says, good morning, Mr. Azu. That memo was from his staff in the finance department of the Federal Government Medical Center, and that is from Kefi. Next one says, how far will the electoral bill ascend? Has the president declined or not? Next is Chibuike that says, good morning, Bisi Akande is okay. And we'll move on. Theophilus here says, Jamil just copied and pasted exactly the opinion of Jimmy Disu this morning on. Okay, moving on. Next one. Yes, I'm done. Moving to WhatsApp now. Uzoma from Victoria Island here says that memo has been debunked by the office of the SSG last night. The next
it's not a debunk memo, it's the pay salary.
Exactly.
You can debunk it how much you want. But let's see if by the 15th of this month, civil servants have taken December Christmas pay. Let's see if by 15th they don't, 16th they don't, and then on the 20th they do not have salary, and then we'll come back to this memo. So that instead of debunking it, just
even their bag of rice and oil.
Bag of rice and oil. Okay.
Next one here says, good morning. Now the rate at which this so-called bandits are killing Nigerians is alarming. Our leaders are not showing concern at all. It is indeed a pity. Next one here says, Ogazu, please, if I may ask, where is your state woman, the elegant stallion Loretta Onoche? Just being curious, just asking. Olaja Eju from Yaba. Next one says, I disagree with Tinubu and Akande in the disparaging Obasanjo. Obasanjo may not be an ideal person for us, but disparaging him in the presence of the president is an aberration. With Buhari turned for federal government to, all right, moving on. Otunuga. Next one here says, what happened in Lagos yesterday was totally unnecessary, just to rubbish Obasanjo, the same man they all trooped to see for their political ambition in 2015. Now they locked down Lagos and wasted taxpayers' money to host such an insignificant event. Who knows how much Lagos lost yesterday for such an event? Our leaders lack deep thinking in their action. In 2023, they will swallow their shame and go back to the same man that they are calling names, and that is Uche from UK. Next one says, when the president writes his own book, we will love to read about his experiences as well. And that is Jay from Lekki. Next one here says, good morning. Akande should be honest enough to say the truth to his party that their government has not strengthened institutions that will encourage truthfulness and honesty among the citizenry. They have championed official lying on Sanwo-Olu's on his cancellation of the political peaceful peace walk. It's simply a face-saving mechanism.
It's also a political peace walk. It wasn't.
Next one is Gafar from Obalende that says, I was very happy yesterday watching how that team dealt with inspiration.
Really?
Dealt with Inspiration FM team. It shows Organa Master. This Inspiration FM team, I wonder how far.
So, Gafar, you want to watch Swan?
We tried our best.
Don't worry. Well, I mean, we entered quarterfinal. It's okay.
That's something.
Next one here says, thank God that the governor was able to listen to the wise counsel. The peace walk would have attracted more denigration and embarrassment to his already battered image than goodwill, and he should stop blaming it on the COVID-19, the new variant Omicron. Now, if the federal government doesn't have money for the December salary, they can as well go to China as usual, and that is Okangbelina from Mafaloko. Next one here says, good morning. They are sending you the memo?
The federal government memo. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just saying it for the first time.
Okay.
It's a disclaimer.
Okay.
But like I said, disclaim it, debunk it. All that will not be enough if, of course, the usual trend of civil servants getting early pay in December doesn't happen. At least because we know that there's no smoke without fire. That memo emanated because something is probably
yes.
here.
Do you want me to read it?
It's long. We've tried to analyze it already.
All right. Next one here says, how can the federal government issue such a memo on December salary? How in the world do you send such a demoralizing message? Then you are talking about a booster jab when many are even yet to receive any jab at all and are not even available these days. I will soon stop listening to the news from Nigeria. I need to protect my mental health, and that is the great anonymous. Next one says, Nigeria, my country, 20 policemen killed, 9 killed in a mosque, pastor killed at home, students attacked the principal's office, commissioner killed, girl raped to death, 15 incidents of jailbreak, 45 electrocuted in a bus, scores of burnt to death inside a vehicle. These are happening in my country, Nigeria. God, please save our land. And that is Julius from Shomolu. No same country will allow COVID-19 and the effects of COVID-19 in their territory. So everyone is doing what is needed to keep safe within their borders. There can never be vaccine equity. The people that control the big pharmaceutical companies will always have monopoly. Now, Africans must have their own alternative. Next one here is Adeyemi Kamara from Satellite Town. It says about the December salary, federal government has said that there is nothing like that, that it is fake news. Ignore it. It is the enemy of Nigeria that posted it. Next one here says, good morning team, Peter from Abidjan. At times I wonder what is progressive about the so-called progressive. These are the same people that voted massively against the electronic transmission of election results. The president's action have so far brought about retrogression in the system, while Bola Ahmed Tinubu's stronghold of Lagos leaves so much to be desired. It's all hypocrisy. I beg, let them pack well. Next one says, good morning. Why do we always have conflicting news stories? Just read now that Minister Folashade Yemi Eson announced that Nigerian Federal Civil Service December salary will not be delayed, while you guys just told us that it is otherwise, as announced by the federal government. On the vaccine, our markets are filled with okrika wires, including delicate clothing like your undies and so. How much more will they not export and dump close to an expiration date on us? Me, I don't trust this government or anyone else. Next one says, good morning. Please, do we have the Johnson & Johnson vaccines here in Lagos, and where can I access one? Next one says, be prepared for the 4th, 5th and more jabs to come. Without sounding immodest, I think Africa should be treated as a safe haven compared to what is happening in the Western world with regards to COVID-19. The West should tell the rest of the world what is going on. The Lagos State Governor has taken the wise counsel by cancelling the walk for peace. Now, though this decision is saving face, but the same will maintain the little dignity left with him. It's definitely not because of the COVID-19, because the Christmas must be celebrated to the fullest this year. We will resist any attempt to restrict our movement during the Christmas season. And that is Alex from Ikeja. Next one says, good morning, Ogazu. Okay, so thanks for the information of the authority refused to pay civil servants their December salary. Good, they should be mindful of their actions.
But we hear again that the Office of the Head of Service have debunked that and have issued a disclaimer. I think we should just read the caveat for emphasis sake and for the need for balance. You have it here. You can summarize it here. It's already here.
Oh, it's already here. Okay, so this one says that prepare for delay in December salary. Now, the attention of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation has been drawn to a circular purportedly issued by the office advising civil servants to exercise caution in spending their November salary because of possible delay in the payment of their December salary. The fake news has unfortunately been published in some newspapers and some social media platforms without even verifying it. For the avoidance of doubt, it must be stated that the office at no time issued any such circular in respect of salary. Now, the Nigerian civil servants and the general public are hereby advised to disregard the content of the fake circular as the work of mischief makers. Furthermore, the said signatory of to the circular, one Dr. S.A. Adegoke, is not a staff of the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation, as there is no record of such an officer in the office. It stands to reason, therefore, that those behind the so-called circular are just out to cause mischief by spreading false information for reasons best known to them. It bears restating and pretty lengthy, and this was signed by the director communications Abdul Ganiyu Aminu. I think I'll stop here because it's pretty lengthy.
The Office of the Head of Civil Service.
Yes.
So that clarifies it. That memo was probably fake, but that news has already seeped in.
Yes.
And now as observers we are watching, we want to see if the federal government that to find money for the such plan. But I mean, this is what the news does. Sometimes set an agenda and then you have the opportunity of reply. I think the government have said it clear now that there's no such thing. It was fake news. So let's see. It's just December 10.
I think paying the salary is enough to debunk.
That's just it. I mean, once you pay the salary, as usually do in December, and then we forget about this fake news.
Next one is Onome from Ajan. That will be our final message this morning. It says, we pray someone takes over EKDC soonest. It is the most rude here. They do not want to invest any money in infrastructure. Mr. Azu, your Chelsea club lacks debt. That's why they are complaining about injuries. It's not easy to be a big club.
Last season, is that not the excuse you give for Liverpool throughout last season? That Van Dijk was injured, so injury, and that's why they didn't win the league and go anywhere in the Champions League. That's it's normal. Once you have major injuries, you suffer, and that's what's happening. Nobody can discountenance the fact that the absence of our key midfielders, all three of them, has affected Chelsea. But we'll look to bounce back tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock against Leeds at Stamford Bridge. We'll come back.
Well, wishing you the best. What's your takeaway?
That's my takeaway. Chelsea tomorrow. We'll come back on Monday. I'll tell you, I'm confident.
You are.
I'm confident.
I have faith in you.
Keep the faith.
And that's it on pay-per-view this morning. We'll be back on Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And tomorrow, the weekend edition, 7:30 to 8 a.m. on Inspiration 92.3, your number one family radio. Follow us on all social media platforms, Inspiration 92.3 FM on Facebook, IFM923 Plus on Instagram, and the website, www.ifm923.com. Follow, subscribe, and share, catch up on missed episodes on the YouTube channel. Zainab Zaybals 26 on Instagram, Azu Osumili on Instagram and on Facebook. James Ogona said he should reply his DM on Facebook, and Official Kafayat on Instagram. We'll be back.
No station does it better. Inspiration 92.3.
Remember the name, Arenas Plus.
Arenax Plus is the name to remember when you need to beat malaria with ease. Arenax Plus is a combination of artemether and lumefantrine and is effective in the treatment of malaria in adults and children. So the next time malaria strikes, remember the name Arenax Plus. Arenax Plus beats malaria with ease. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see a doctor. Available in pharmacies near you. Arenax Plus is a quality product from Swiffer.
What does this season mean to you? Is it the joy of your family reunited? Or unwrapping new thrills and adventures? Or maybe hearty meals delivered to perfection? Or a hashtag Dirty December with unforgettable nights playing catch up with concerts and parties? A hug, appreciative smiles, promises made and kept, a gift that says 1,000 words. Whatever it is and whatever it means, with Jumia's Christmas sales, rest assured your Christmas is delivered. Jumia, your everyday delivered.
Enjoy daily goodness with Quaker Oats that's rich in fiber to ease digestion and keeps you full for longer. Quaker is the goodness that helps you win. Get rewarded with amazing gifts with every 500-gram pack you buy. So, what are you waiting for? Go get your nourishing Quaker Oats and free gift as you win with goodness today. Offer available in select stores and markets while stocks last. Quaker Oats, goodness that lasts.
The world has changed for every single person on earth. Suddenly, everyone is aware that there are many risks that threaten their wealth and well-being. Veritas Capital Assurance ensures that you can protect yourself quickly from avoidable financial problems. Under less than 5 minutes on WhatsApp, you can get coverage for the contents of your home, personal accident, and motor vehicle. You can also get protection from business interruption and fire damage.
Simply call VKA on 0700 1500.
And Veritas High-Tech Virtual Assistant will attend to you faster than you expect.
Call VKA on 0700 1500.
Join Cousins Baby as we nurture and celebrate our little champions in the Cousins Baby Moments Competition Season 8. Over 5 million naira worth of prizes up for grabs and the ultimate prize of 2 million naira for the baby of the year. To enter, simply purchase any 3 different Cousins Baby products or a Cousins Baby gift pack. Take a creative picture of your baby 0 to 3 years old, showcasing any of their unique gift or talent with the Cousins Baby products in view. Visit www.cousinsbaby.com.ng/CBM8 to upload the picture and register. For more information, follow at Cousins Baby NG on social media. With Cousins Baby, every baby is a star. Terms and conditions apply.
Yo, the streets are not smiling. The speed at